Welcome back to the activation phase. This is Tim speaking, and I'm here with my trusty co-host, JP. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Today we are doing the French because apparently you're excited for the fleur-de-lis, the painting side of things, and I love the army because I think it's incredible. And so that makes the perfect mix to be hyped to record a podcast. And so here we are.
Indeed. Also, I must admit, the pictures in the Age of Chivalry book are super cool and like really help you hype up even more than usual.
Nice.
One thing I did notice, there seems to be so many pictures of models getting shot in the face, dead, and getting shot in the chest compared to every other book that they have. So this seems to be like a new trend. So anyway, that's
Too many shooting casualties. Bring Lombard Lancers.
Indeed. Okay. So yeah, the French. Again, this one has two sub-factions. So it's given the length of the conflict, they have the feudal and retinue companies, and then they also have the Compagnie d'Ordonnance units. There's a slight difference in the equipment, but the rest of there's no special rules or something like that, like the condottieri. So it's relatively simple change, and really what's the difference is more from a historic and a fluff perspective, that at the beginning of the 100 Years' War, you had larger warbands being raised along feudal lines, and then later in the war, when it would become too expensive to have these gigantic armies of poorly trained peasants, they turned a little bit more professional, and essentially that's what you're showing. But maybe to start off with the feudal and retinue companies on the equipment options. So your warlords and hearthguards have either no equipment, so on foot, or they are mounted on horses, so you can't take any barding for these ones. The warriors are either just on foot with no special equipment, or they have pavises, or they are mounted on horses. With the pavises, you can have a maximum of one unit, which I think is pretty standard for all of the warbands, that you can't just only have pavises.
Yeah.
And then finally, for the levies, you can either choose them to have crossbows or bows. So relatively simple there, pretty standard options. And then for the French Compagnie d'Ordonnance units, you have a little bit more options for the warlords, hearthguards. So you can either have them on foot with no special equipment, mounted on horses, or mounted on horses with barding. And then finally, you have warriors either with no special equipment options on foot, mounted on horses, or with bows, and no levies whatsoever. So big changes there obviously are the barding for the hearthguard and warlord, and
Yeah.
then whether or not you can or cannot have levies with crossbows or bows, or levies at all. So what's your first impression of which one's going to be more favored by the OP gamer crowd?
As a representative, no, I don't know. Anyway, I think the Compagnie d'Ordonnance is probably the more interesting one, because the board really likes Hearthguard a lot and honestly doesn't care at all about either pavises, so being slow, or levies or shooting. And so having bringing the Compagnie d'Ordonnance is just better, because you can have the barding for the horses on Hearthguard and the warlord, which is super important because this board just charges a lot and maybe doesn't move around too much, and so the barding isn't that big of a deal. When you can charge 18 inches, so L plus large plus medium, that's a long ways out. And then having the possibility to bring horses, your warriors on horses, is just super good, because even small units are powerful, and warrior horses are super good. As I think we said a lot, the warriors with horses or warriors with heavy weapons are just super good in Saga, and so these guys have access to the warriors on horses, and that's a no-brainer. Pretty good. even though the Barding Hearthguard are probably even better with the board. So kind of a rare situation where where Hearthguard might be better than Warriors.
Yeah, so I haven't heard you be this enthusiastic about Hearthguard for a long time, so I'm pretty interested to hear how you find the rest of the board. But let's move on to the basic abilities. We'll go through them relatively quickly because there's absolutely nothing of note. It's a pretty standard. So your standard hero or Hearthguard, warriors or levies are no change there from what you would expect, and then only the combat bonus there. You have gain 1 attack dice or defense dice. For the dice, or 2 if you use a rare, but no shooting, additional shooting dice. So that's the only difference, and then your activation pool is same as usual. So let's get to the meat of this battle board. Do you want to kick it off?
Yes, please. All right, the first one's called Feat of Arms. It's a melee or shooting ability that can take any die facing. It says add 1 automatic hit to the hits you inflict, or 2 if you use a rare. And for this one, we kind of have to look at what an automatic hit means in attack dice on average, and that changes a lot whether if your opponent's closing ranks or not, just in value if you actually get that casualty through. But in general, if you're going into Hearthguard and they have armor 5, then 3 attack dice basically are 1 automatic hit just on average. And so having 3 attack dice for a common is okay, and having this obviously gets a lot better when you go into armor 6 or you're exhausted, because then you can still do this. And I think this is where the ability shines. You don't use it when there's other things to play still, but when you're getting into the late game and your opponent can use your fatigue, which you will definitely accumulate, can use your fatigue to up their armor to 6 and you fight their warlord or something, then having these automatic hits hurts them a lot, and that's when you want to play this. You kind of don't want to play this early game when there's still your other abilities are still very, very good. And so I feel like this is a situational one that gets very good the longer the game goes on, or if your opponent basically just has Hearthguard, then this is always good.
I like taking away dice rolls, and this is a good way of doing that. So always nice and versatile. All right, so the next one is called Panoply. This is using an uncommon only. So it's a melee ability and for the Hearthguard only. So you can reroll all your attack and defense dice, which score 1s or 1s and 2s if your unit has taken at least 1 casualty since the start of the game. Yeah, I think on its own, it's fine. The problem here with taking lots of Hearthguard is very, like everyone knows, you charge in your beatstick Death Star unit of Hearthguard, and then they fluff their rolls. So this always happens. So you can you can take it away with this. So I think overall it just makes everything much more reliable, which is key when you have a Hearthguard heavy faction. But we'll see if it stacks with something later on.
Yeah, this just because taking a casualty is also super easy because your warlord is probably one of the best warlords in all of Saga, and I may be the man of the superlative, and I like hyping things up and stuff, but I think this warlord is super good because of abilities that end up that come later. And with Panoply, taking a Hearthguard off as a bodyguard kill enables the Hearthguard Panoply rerolling 1s and 2s, and you want to take those Hearthguard off to keep your warlord fresh anyway at some point in the game. And so Panoply feels so reliable and so good because you can decide which units you take the bodyguards off, and then suddenly your Hearthguard are very tanky and super aggressive, or super deadly, I should say. So I think this one's a great ability. Next up is Knighthood. It's an orders reaction that can take either a common or an uncommon. It says, choose a friendly, non-mercenary hero, so usually your warlord unless you play with legendary heroes. Until the end of the turn, each time this hero takes part in a melee or shooting attack, they automatically cancel a number of hits equal to their resilience value. So usually 1, unless you take legendary heroes. So for a common, you can automatically cancel a number of hits equal to your resilience. So you can automatically cancel one each time you're shot or you're in melee. And I feel like this one's good offensively and defensively, because you kind of want to charge your warlord twice per turn. And we'll talk about why later, but then just automatically canceling 2 hits is already pretty good if it can save one of your Hearthguard. And defensively, this is very good because you have lots of Hearthguard next to your warlord, and so he kind of becomes a non-target. He's super not interesting to charge because you can take the Hearthguard off, and you deny 1 hit every single shot or combat. So pretty good. And with an ability that comes later, you can play this in your orders and then in your orders reaction again. So you can have it up in both your and your opponent's turn every turn, and that's annoying as heck.
Yeah, I think these orders abilities, especially with the new FAQ ruling, makes it super tasty. Especially it's just for a common as well. So nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next one is Tenacity. This is using any of the dice facings, a melee or shooting reaction. Gain 2 defense dice. At the end of the melee or shooting attack, if your unit hasn't taken any casualties, take 1 of your available Saga dice. 2 if you used a rare, roll it and place it on your board. So there seems to be a lot of very, very defensive abilities so far for a defensive board. This stacks well with Panoply, both on your Hearthguards and then also just on your Warlord, since if he's still alive, it means he hasn't taken any casualties. So this basically means you have a free dice to reroll. So why would you not do this? Talk me out of this, Tim.
Impossible. These are 2 free defense dice. Like, unless you can't afford it to begin with, because I don't know, you're missing a die or something, then this is just a free die. And yes, you don't want to put the rare here because there are other abilities that kind of need the rare more, unless you have 3 rares, of course. And then if you have 3 rares, your return is insane anyway. So that's not going to be the usual situation. But yeah, Tenacity is basically just 2 free defense dice for your warlord. So
Autoplay. Right.
Yeah. So good. All right, the star, or should we say wedge, of this battle board is the next ability, and it's called Flying Wedge, and it takes a common and a rare. It's an activation ability. It says activate up to 3 units for a charge. They each get 3 bonus attack dice in ensuing melee. So for a common and a rare, if you do it right, you get 3 charges, so 3 activations, and 9 bonus attack dice. This is Hun level of aggressiveness and multi-activation tomfoolery. This is super good, and yes, of course, if you charge your warlord, he's only going to get 1 bonus attack die with this, but still, very good. And so all of these activations and all of these bonus attack dice just make it that you roll a ton of dice in attacking, because 3 units plus all these attack dice in the build I've been playing is like 45 attack dice for this one ability. And that's a lot of dice, and usually takes off whatever you want to take off, and that feels pretty powerful for a common and a rare.
Yeah, we're finally getting into the more aggressive abilities right now. So the next one is Montjoie Saint-Denis, obviously the famous battle cry of the French. So this is using a rare. It's an activation. Remove all your warlord's fatigues, then activate them for a charge that generates no fatigue. Oh yes, this is so good. This reminds me of the was it the Lord of War from the Anglo Danes, except for better.
Just better, yes.
Just better all round. Same vibe. I think this is kind of the. Would you say this is a signature one? It just means you are gonna absolutely smash face with your warlord.
Yeah, just for this one and the one before, I just got to do this. They're so good. And the combination of both of them is insane. You charge your warlord in with Flying Wedge, and then he's all exhausted and it's sad. But then you just do Montjoie, Saint-Denis, and then he goes in again and smashes face again on a unit that already took a fatigue, and then they're usually just dead. So pretty good.
I think this is just, if you think about the value you get for a rare, just all of your warlords fatigues. It's like, first of all, that's already worth a rare.
Yeah.
And then just being able to charge fatigue free. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, this is insane.
I mean, charging fatigue free on some boards takes a rare. So
I know. This is just too much.
This is some bad people said that it shows that the game makers are French on this ability.
Fine. I think it's really cool. And
I love it. What the heck?
You just shout or cry. You're all good. I think it's worth it.
All right, next up is Pledge of Battle. It's a melee ability for attackers only that takes a common or an uncommon die. And it just says unit suffers 1 less fatigue at the end of the melee. Pretty good ability, because if you want to multi-charge, then this is good, like multi-charging without without the Montjoie Saint-Denis, which is a charge with no fatigue. But if you want to just do this, then that's very good. Taking the fatigue off on your warlord or on your Hearthguard, or just at the end of, if you want to do it at basically the Hearthguard unit that's closest to the enemy army, and you play this to make sure that they're fresh, and so it's going to cost them if they charge them. That's pretty good, and I feel like a common for this is definitely worth it.
Especially if you start already stacking some things like the Pledge of Battle with after you've done a Montjoie Saint-Denis, and then you already have your the knighthood effect up. You're just getting so much value out of just 3 or 2 commons and a rare. In terms of just being able to absolutely smash face and multiple times in a turn and be completely safe. Like, generally, it's very hard to get I guess 5 hits on a warlord to kill him. With the knighthood and everything else. So it's just crazy, right? Like, I think we are approaching levels of like the Saxon warlord level of and possibly surpassing it already.
I think we're we kind of ran past him, but he's still also very good. Definitely better than the Anglo-Dane one.
All right, I think I'm up for this one. So the next one is Armed and Armored, using 2 common dice. It's a melee ability, so gain 3 attack dice or 3 defense dice. 4 if you're Hearthguard unit. Your opponent must discard 3 attack dice. Yes, I like this. It is quite expensive. I mean, 2 dice abilities, not a big fan. It is common, so you're going to be okay, especially with if you're taking all the Hearthguard as we suggested. Or I think we will suggest that you do a lot of Hearthguard. Then you shouldn't have too many problems trying to activate warriors and other distractions. So you have enough common dice. But yeah, this is just pretty solid, especially taking away 3 attack dice. It means, for example, if someone's like closing ranks, they're already pretty useless. They're not going to do any damage to you anyway, and you're just stacking it. I think it's good, but I think some of the other units, especially being able to do all the multi-charges, stuff like that, you might want to use those common dice for something else. But definitely solid ability, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of, because the other abilities are so good, you kind of want to play this if you are doing Panoply. Because then and of course you're playing this on Hearthguard, because you have bring Hearthguard. Why would you ever do this on a Warlord or Warriors or something? So, and you, in my opinion, you always take the attack dice. Yes, I mean there might be a case for there's a situation where you have your Hearthguard and they're on foot and they close ranks and then you gain 4 defense dice and your opponent must take 3 attack dice away. Then your Hearthguard are never dying, and I get it. That's pretty powerful, but the French are so aggressive. And good at being aggressive. I don't think that's a situation that will come up often. But of course it's cool to have the option to bring defense dice or take defense dice. But yeah, your attack dice are obviously, or defense dice are obviously much better with Panoply. It's a bit sad that they discard attack dice and you don't gain defense dice just in general, because the synergy with Panoply would be even better. But I'm not complaining. It's already a good ability that's kind of your only way to actually generate attack dice with this board, other than by just charging a million units. All right, next up is Full Harness. It's an Orders ability that takes a common. Until the start of your next turn, your Hearthguard units get Resilience 1 in melee and Resilience 2 against shooting attacks. However, they make all their moves and charges with a single short measuring stick, or medium if they are mounted on unbarded horses. And this might be a hot take, but I feel like this is the worst ability on here. Because it kind of feels like that's not what the French want to be doing at all. They want to be quick and they want to charge in and they want to be in your opponent's face and overwhelm them by surviving and trading well and taking more off than they have to take off themselves. And they also don't have a way to remove fatigue other than Montjoie Saint-Denis, and so and that's only for your Hearthguard and not for your Warlord, not for your Hearthguard. And so exhausting your Hearthguard, I think, is a lot worse than just taking a single Hearthguard model off, which doesn't hurt as much as you think it would. And so I don't like the ability. Maybe you do.
Yeah, the resilience is always a little bit of a double-edged sword, especially if you can get them barded, like you said, and they're gonna be fine. I think one interesting thing is also the combination with the next ability. So the prowess.
Yeah.
So this is using a common or an uncommon. It's the Orders ability. Until the end of the turn, your mounted heroes and Hearthguard units get a bonus of M to their charge distance, but cannot be activated to move. So obviously this is good with barding, because you're already pretty slow. But they helpfully also said in the book itself, this does not stack with the full harness. So you basically only get you don't get the bonus. So that sucks. Because if you get both, it would make a little bit more sense. I would argue, but since you don't, yeah, you're kind of meh. It's okay, but I mean, this is a part of the insane aggressiveness of this board, like the Flying Wedge plus prowess. Insane. It's like the Carolingian. Is it like triple move?
No fatigue.
Except for you're doing it instead of the triple move with like one unit, you're doing like an extra long move or extra long charge with 3 units. So with extra attack dice. So yeah, you're like nowhere safe, and it's gonna be a bad time. I guess one thing is if your opponent puts down like terrain or something, it's gonna be less useful because you have to charge in a straight line. But except for that, I think most boards tend not to. Big fans of terrain in this age.
Yeah, and if your opponent's putting down lots of terrain, then for whatever reason and whatever board that might like terrain, I don't think there is any in this age. So I don't. Yeah, if they put down lots of terrain, then you just don't put your guys on horses, or not all of them at least. And so then prowess becomes irrelevant anyway. And if your guys are on horses because the terrain is quite open and easy, 18 inches is very long and very far to kind of... There's a high chance that if your unit is somewhere in the middle of the board on your side, that they can find a target to charge. And so prowess for the first 2 turns or something, or at least a turn before you kind of want to do your first attack, first big swing, is incredible because it keeps your guys safe. until they don't need to be safe anymore because there's no opponents left. And so I think it's a great one.
It also takes away the issues with the barding, that they're so slow. Like, it doesn't really matter. You're just ending up charging like crazy amounts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is tasty.
Yes. 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 I am so excited for the French because of their aggression and all the ways that support that. And it's not many ways. It's basically Flying Wedge, Prowess, and Montjoie Saint-Denis. But still, it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to how would you build a warband? Maybe let's start off with the. I know you're not a big fan, but or not favorable to the feudal section, but maybe let's see if people among us want to do the earlier French style. How would you build it?
But I think it's because I'm so locked in to the Compagnie d'Ordonnance. I don't see any use for shooting units with this board, because you can put your guys on foot or on horses, and so you can even go in terrain and stuff. And I don't like. There's not really anything other than feat of arms, which might be an automatic hit for shooting. I don't see why you would take shooting. So for the feudal ones, I think just pretty similar. Just Hearthguard on foot or Hearthguard on horses. Yes, they can take barding, but it's still good. And then you're going to take 4 of your warriors with Pavises. So that's I think the build is pretty similar. So for the feudal one, it's 4.5 points split into 6, 6, and 6 of Hearthguard on foot or on horses, and then your Lombard Lancers are super good, and then 4 warriors with Pavises or bow. Oh no, not bows. That's the other one. Just with Pavises is good. And for Compagnie d'Ordonnance, it's the same thing, but you definitely just want to be taking barding if your opponent has even some shooting.
It's pretty clear. It's gonna be a very mounted and compact warband, but I think that's I think it gives you a lot of opportunities also to paint some really cool heraldry and make them really really flashy, really colorful. And I'm actually looking forward to doing that. I got inspired by one of the pictures on the Discord of this French knight with the fleur de lis, and then I was kind of digging through my bits box to find like a horse with like the little cloth barding I could paint nicely for a change. So I'm pretty pumped about this warband, especially talking to you. See some making some connections. And I am always a big fan of Hearthguard, and I think they've really made it make sense to take Hearthguard, which is nice. Definitely a nice change, especially in this age.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, 4.5 points of Hearthguard is like Saxon level of commitment to Hearthguard or high armor. And it's rare and it usually doesn't work. And I think it's really cool that they found a board that works with and kind of really, really rewards you for bringing Hearthguard instead of OP warriors on horses, which are so good that you maybe want to switch out 1.5 or 6 Hearthguard or 1.5 points for 12 warriors instead. Maybe, but the prowess doesn't work on them. The armed and armored doesn't work on them. You can't take them off for panoply. You can't use panoply, and full harness doesn't work on them. And it's like half your ability's gone. So maybe they're not worth it. And the Hearthguard are just super cool, and they found their place.
Yeah, I think overall you have kind of the things that you want with a Hearthguard heavy board. You have the ensuring that you can do damage reliably, and also ensuring that you can do your saves reliably.
Yes,
that they actually stay alive. You have your your kind of multiple activations that you can put more dice on the board, and kind of get more out of each melee that you engage in. And then also, obviously, like you have your warlord, which is just going to be absolute beast, and he's just going to be kind of like the center of attention of your your warband and having your Hearthguard kind of like soaking up any damage that somehow gets through all of his defenses. So I think all in all, this is like incredibly cinematic and like fluffy warband.
Yeah, not many warbands, like opposing warbands, can take a loaded, even with defensive abilities up, can take a loaded French board all out attack well. Because, I mean, just doing some quick maths, not crazy stuff, but you're going to charge, if you do it right, I think you're going to charge your Warlord first into a something semi-soft, and that's 8 attacks. Then there's going to be three flying wedges with your Hearthguard unit, so that's 45 more. So we're at 53, and then you're going to charge your Warlord again, so that's 81. 61 attacks, and you're still basically with no, like, you still haven't done any double charges where that would generate fatigue. And 61 attack dice is not something a lot of boards, or maybe even any board, can take without at least losing 1 or 2 units, because you can always just charge the same units again, and so the fatigue makes it super deadly for you to charge, because you're not getting charged again. Your unit is going to be fresh because it's the second unit that attacks, and they're just attacking the same unit that already has a fatigue, and suddenly that one pops, and then there's a fatigue bomb, and they're insane. I'm telling you, they're insane.
Agreed. All right, cool. Let's wrap this up. How many croissants would you give them out of 5?
Probably 4.5.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Are you you were going to do the Bretons? Are you now going to switch over to the French?
I honestly threw the Bretons into the dumpster because I don't think they can handle the other boards, because the other boards are just too good. And I like the Burgundians and the French, I think, and the Scots. I think they're what I'm kind of building right now.
All right, awesome. Are you going to be painting heraldry, or are you just going to dry brush?
I'm not painting anything. I'm just pretending to have painted models by airbrushing something.
Nice. Pro tip. All right, I'm actually gonna try and do like a over the top kind of a bright warband, using the what is it called, the Fireforge barded horses, and mixing them with the Perry Knights bodies. So I think the also what you said, having lots of lots of Hearthguard on horses, it just means you have a small warband and it's manageable to paint like really well without going absolutely crazy. I think in terms of the fluff itself, I might stay away from the Lombard lances. I don't know why. I just feel a little bit meh about taking mercenaries for everything. I might just take like some warriors or something just to pad it out a little bit and have some guys on the field. It's probably less optimal, but I think it just, on a personal level, I feel like that's just the way to go for me. But looking forward to painting that and just kind of going all out, because I've already got three warbands for Chivalry. So I think the French, I can just take my time and paint up nicely and kind of enjoy painting again without having the feeling of having to pump out armies, which is kind of sucks. So looking forward to like a nice change of pace as well. I mean, so, look forward to seeing this painted warband in like 2-3 years.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And you're not bringing Lombard Lancers, but like warriors instead, I think is super viable, because the warriors can be on horses as well and can be on foot, and just charging your warriors with flying wedge and giving a fatigue to your opponent to use with your Hearthguard is a super good tactic, and it's even more aggressive than bringing the Lombard Lancers. So maybe that is the right way to go, and the Lombard Lancers don't even have a place in this warband.
It really depends. I think we need to see how it kind of shakes out in terms of how many people are going to bring lots of shooting, how many people are going to bring like Burgundians or something like that. But I guess we'll see. I think it's just gonna be nice to enjoy painting again.
Sounds great. All right, I think that's it for today's episode. So Thank you guys so much for listening. Before we do the full outro, just just parry miniatures, or what you said, the Fireforge models with parried knights on top. What do I do what do I buy?
What's it, the Fireforge? I think they're just called like Teutonic Knights, or just the medieval knights, and then just slapping on the parry miniatures Agincourt, or they have the later knights as well for the ordnance, where you don't have any barding. But that seems a little bit to defeat the purpose, because you're just gonna have like metal on horses, which kind of defeats the purpose of having like a nicely painted heraldry on your guys. And also remember that we have a voicemail.
Yes.
Did we get any voicemails?
Not yet. Not yet.
All right.
So feel free to send us some. We're happy to hear your experience with the French or any of the other armies we already did the podcast for.
Always forget to prepare to grab the voicemail number. I never seem to find it in the chat.
It can't be that far away. Let's do this live on air. All right, it's 0049640480300756, and I'm gonna put it in the episode when done with editing.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing your French warbands. Is this the OP warband everyone is going to be playing? I think so.
Good melee warband at least. So or insane melee warband. So yeah. Right. Now this is the full outro. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and enjoy and hear you, or I guess you'll be hearing us in the next one. Bye bye.